Right. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is how we can kind of some resources we have available to us to be able to kind of keep track of what the product is where the product is going. Okay. So as a manager, it's your responsibility to kind of investigate what areas or what things, why things might be missing. So the first step we have to do is we first have to add up all the items that were returned or the items that were served. Okay. And so if we look at our notes page, the first item is we're going to add each server's amount to get the total items that were served from each one. Okay. So number one, we're just going to add up. So go ahead and take a moment and add up the total number of ribeyes, grilled salmon, strips, scallops, and pasta primavera that were sold on this particular shift. All right, what do we get for ribeyes?
68.
68, good. How about grilled salmon? 70. And what about the New York strip steak? 85, good. Scallops? 38, good. And the pasta primavera? 39. Okay, cool. So then we want to figure out what our physical inventory is. We're going to go in and count how many we actually have. Hold on one second. All right. So then how many do we let's take a look here. Okay. I want to cover up our variant. Here we go. All right. So we issued 75 ribeyes. We returned 6, and I want to use my Zoom from our PowerPoint. No. We sold 68. So what is 68? Let's check something real quick.
Two different numbers than what we have.
But we'll get to this in just a minute. We'll get to that in just a minute. All right, so we have a waste report. Okay. What is the purpose of the waste report? What does waste report sound like to you? What was thrown away? Things that we got rid of. Okay. If things drop on the floor, if things, if we burnt something, we had to throw it away. Okay. So our waste report, we're looking at our shift notes. On that bottom of that first page, we got the shift notes. Okay. These are things that happened during the shift. So we had scallops remade because they were rubbery. The primavera sauce got tossed because we used sugar instead of salt. 5 pounds of pasta got overcooked. The 86th New York strip, 1 hour before closing. What does 86th mean?
Stop selling.
Means we ran out of it, okay? Which means we had no more to sell. So oftentimes if you work in the food service, you may hear the cook say, hey, 86 New York strips, which means don't sell anymore. We're out of them. We don't have any more, okay? And then 2 cups of beurre blanc sauce that broke. Those are our shift notes, okay? And that's gonna go into our waste report here in just a moment. All right. So now let's go into our variance report, okay? So if you flip over, we're gonna be on this page right here, okay? Which is technically the third page. Third page is right here, okay? So we sold 68. Let's transfer our numbers down into that item. So we have 68, our product usage, 70, 85, 38, and 39. Okay. Oops. 68, 70, 85, 38, and 39. It's up here up on the screen. So remember, we want to take our sold, so for the ribeye, right here, with our formulas right here, 68. We sold, we returned 6, and we issued 75. So what is 68 plus 6?
74.
74. And what is 74 minus 75?
17.
74 minus 75.
74 minus 75, 17.
-1.
-1. Yep, it's -1. Okay. -1. What does that mean? What does that -1 represent? We're short, which means we're missing a ribeye somewhere. Okay. So we sold 70 grilled salmons. We returned 25. So what's 70 plus 25? 95. And we subtract 95, 0, which means everything is accounted for. The New York strip, 85. We returned none. And we issued 85. So 85 minus 85, 0. Go into the scallops and the pasta primavera yourself and see what you got. All right, so what was our variance for the scallops? -2. And pasta primavera was 0. Okay, so far we're only missing 1 ribeye and we're missing 2 orders of scallops. Okay, is that concerning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Why are we missing 2 scallops? What would you think you might do as a manager? You gotta start thinking critically. What happened during our shift that might cause you to be missing 2 scallops?
Shift notes, they said a scallop had to be returned.
Okay,
So maybe they gave the first order to them and the second order, so refunded them for those.
Yeah. okay, so we returned 1, which means when that server has to return and remake that scallops, they have to put it in the computer again, so our perpetual inventory stays up to track, right? And then if I've given out those, then it would, so that might bring me down to -1, so 1 scallop, okay? Um, but as a manager, you have to start thinking critically, okay, about figuring out why we're missing product and what could potentially be causing it. If I need to train David again to say, hey, David, don't forget when you remake something, or in this case, Robert, when you have something to remake, you have to put in the additional one, and we'll comp both of them off. That way the guest isn't gonna pay for it. It's gonna show the two comps, but at least it keeps up our perpetual inventory current, okay? So now let's look at our waste report. You guys that are already here in class, just take your paper, tear it apart. That way you can see it side by side. So your waste report, let's look at our shift notes. What are things on our shift notes that we actually wasted? Because not everything on our shift notes has to do with wasting product.
The Primavera
Okay, so the pasta primavera sauce,
pasta.
the 5 pounds of pasta, and the beurre blanc, and there's one more, the scallops. So how much primavera sauce? 1 gallon, 5 pounds of pasta. The beurre blanc, 2 cups.
Would you consider sugar to also be a waste in the race report since they use sugar instead of salt?
Well, it's wasted in the whole process of throwing away that gallon. Yeah. And 1 order of scallops, and then our reasons. So our sauce broke, the pasta was overcooked, and then primavera salt was replaced with sugar. Sugar used instead. So I want you to look at your waste report and rank yours in order from 1 to 4, with 1 being the most serious that you want to address first. What problem do you want to address first? Bless you. And the number 4, it's still a problem, but maybe we're gonna save it to last to address it. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, right on the side of the column. What would you do? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which one's the most pressing that you want to address right now? And number 4, which is something that you can wait just for a little bit longer. All right, so what did you choose for number 1? Anybody chose the pasta primavera for number 1? Why? The primavera sauce?
I chose the other pasta.
The pasta itself?
Yeah,
Why did you choose the pasta?
because it got overcooked.
Okay. So what are some potential implications about wasting that pasta?
Well, you're wasting products and you're wasting money and also you're wasting resources a lot.
Yeah, so we're wasting money.
You need the pasta to get like the sauce on the pasta. So, like,
Yeah, we're actually wasting product too. If we do 4-ounce portions of pasta,
That's so
that's
many
4 portions per pound, and that's 5 pounds. That's 20 portions of pasta. What if that's my last 5 pounds of pasta for the day? And it's overcooked. I have no more pasta to make. I gotta run to HEB and get some more pasta, right? So not only are we wasting money, but we're wasting product as well, okay? Who listed the primavera sauce as their number one problem. Okay, Lydia, why?
Just because of how much was lost and then also because they were making it, so it was a user error of putting in the sugar instead of salt.
Yeah. So again, if we do 4 ounces servings, that's 32 ounces, that's 32 servings of sauce. So we've got 40 servings of pasta and 32 servings of sauce that's wasted. And it's user error, which means now we have to spend more time making that sauce over again. It's not like we just opened up a jar and put it in the pan to heat it up, right? So that's an issue. What is another issue with that, with this scenario, with the pasta sauce? What's that? Well, the beurre blanc sauce was broken, but the primavera sauce, we use salt, or so we use sugar instead of salt. Sugar. So we did waste some sugar, good, right?
You waste a lot of ingredients.
Wasted a lot of ingredients. Yeah.
Longer wait time too for
What about
Review.
if our salt and our sugar are mislabeled? And that person's like, no, I grabbed the salt, and they get that salt and it's full of sugar, but it's labeled salt. That could be a huge problem because other people are going to grab that salt and do the same thing, which means more product is going to be wasted, right? So there's not like one scenario that's like, I can tell you this is what's going to happen. You as a manager have to start figuring out, okay, this is what happened. Why did it happen like this? Okay. What about the beurre blanc sauce? Anybody list that as number one? Hopefully that's not somebody that just throws that sauce away. If you remember back to basic food prep, there is a way to maybe fix the broken sauce, right? Maybe it's a little bit more training. Hey, put some more cold butter in there and give it a real strong whisk. It might bring that emulsification back, the emulsion back. And then what about scallops? Anybody list scallops as their number one? It's an issue. It's nothing we want to concern ourselves with, but obviously that pasta and the pasta primavera are things we need to have to get service going, right? So that might be our priority. And so those waste reports and those shift notes are things that are going to help you remember what happened. Okay? I want you guys, especially you guys in the back that were part of the service class, can you go back 2 hours, remember exactly what was happening in 2 hours? No. So you're probably not going to remember that pasta primavera sauce was used sugar instead of salt when you're 8 hours later and you're closing up for the night. So those shift notes are really important to help you remember what happened during that shift.
they had to remake something.
Yeah,
They had to remake the dessert.
a
It
dessert?
was horrible. Cause they said they put everything in there, the salt, sugar, baking powder, soda, whatever. But when they brought it out, it tasted like nothing.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
they forgot something, put too much of one thing.
Yeah,
Then
and then I had to remake it.
And then it was extremely close to service. So it went to the freezer. But it came out better.
Good. Yeah, that's good. So in the process of service and making sure that when we have that pasta, that 5 pounds of pasta is going to make 20 portions that are 4 ounces each. Okay, we're going to use things like scoops. We're going to use things like scales. Okay, if you flip over to your second page of your notes, we're going to use things like scoops, scales, different portion controls that we talked about. Okay, ladles are helpful for things like soup and sauce. There was one time I was helping out in the summer last year, and they were doing a lunch upstairs, and they had, which I thought was odd, but they had like a hotel pan with the little shallow ones, the half size, and it wasn't even like full of sauce, like the chimichurri sauce that they had just dumped in that, but it wasn't even like full of sauce, so I thought it was odd, but the guy that was helping out, he was using a giant, like the big giant spoons, right? Like the ones that have like the handles that are like this long, that have the hole that you hang up on the wall. You know what I'm talking about? He's using that spoon to put chimichurri sauce on the plates.
That's way too much.
And so I walked back. Now he wasn't using like the whole spoons to scoop, but he was using that size of a spoon. And so I walked back and saw that, and I was like, hey, you might want to switch to a smaller spoon because we've got 40 people out here. And you just look like you've got 40 people, 40 servings worth of chimichurri sauce. Didn't pay attention. So I took the plates out. I'm just helping. I'm just the hotel guy. So I help out whenever I can. Came back and I'm like, hey, it looks like your sauce is running kind of low. You might want to switch to a smaller spoon. Nope, they were just going. What do you think happened?
They ran
The
it.
last 10 plates didn't have sauce on them. And so we have to use these portion controls, these certain things in order to be able to make sure that we have, when our recipe says we're gonna get 32 servings out of it, we're gonna get 32 servings out of it, right? Really important. We can use pre-portioned items or pre-made items. So sometimes when it comes to proteins, if I want to do if I want to give everybody a 6-ounce chicken breast, I'm going to order a 6-ounce chicken breast. I'm not going to order random sizes because then they're going to all be different sizes. So oftentimes those pre-made items, they're pre-portioned items that helps us with that consistency. Okay. I remember when I was a student, I was taking Chef 1300. And I had to do um, the peppercorn crusted ribeye or New York strip. Okay. So I asked my chef, Chef Brown actually was my chef instructor, and I said, hey, chef, where are my steaks? And he's like, your New York strip is in the reach-in refrigerator. So I open the fridge. Chef, I don't see any steaks. He's like, no, you have a 12-pound New York strip, which is the primal cut. He's like, you need to trim it and slice it into steaks. And I was like, but I'm a hotel major. Like, I'm not a culinary major. I was like, the person last week got salmon that was nice little vacuum sealed packed, and all I had to do was open up. I was like, why do I get the 12-pound New York strip? Right? Well, long story short, did it, it worked out fine, right? But do you think all those steaks were exactly the same size? They definitely were not. Okay. Now we're charging $12 for a steak dinner, so people can't really complain. It's a lesson learned for me. I tried my best to keep them at about 7 ounces. Some were a little bit more, some were a little less. But if I'm in a steakhouse, if I don't have a butcher that is trained to cut that meat and break it down into even portions, then I need to purchase pre-made items or pre-portioned items just to make it consistent. Okay. Our scoops, they are sized by number. So on your notes page, our scoops are sized by number. It's not sized by, I mean, it would be so easy to say, hey, go get me a 1/4 cup scoop, but that's not how they're numbered. Okay. So we had to do a little bit of conversions. Our factor is going to be the number 4. So when we are doing scoop sizes, if we want to go from volume of measurement and to the number of scoop, we're going to use the number 4. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So we want to determine what the scoop number is. We are going to multiply the denominator by 4. So for example, here on the screen, let's look at this. 1/4 cup. What is my denominator? It's the 4. It's on the bottom. Denominator is the bottom, right? So the denominator, we multiply by 4 to get 16, and that's our number scoop. So our number scoop is 1/4 of a cup of volume. Okay? For the half a cup, 1/2 cup. What is the cup? What is the 2 times 4? 8. So my scoop is the number 8. So if I want to measure 1/2 cup of rice, I need to use the 8 ounce, the number 8 scoop. Okay. Let's go the opposite way. To determine the volume amount, we want to divide the scoop number by 4. Okay. So on our example on our page, number 8 scoop, we divide that, 8 divided by 4 is what? 2, and then put that 1 on top, and it's a half a cup. Just add that 1 as the numerator. And so 12 divided by 4 is 3, and add the 1 on top. So it's 1/3 cup. So if I say, hey, I need a 1/3 cup scoop, that's the number 12 scoop. Okay. I don't know why they don't just make it easy and put the measurement on it like they do like the measuring cups. That would be so much easier. Right? I don't understand why they do that, but what's that? Make your job so much easier. Maybe one day I'll do a big research project on the uses of scoops and numbers and measuring size. All right. So any questions about scoops and how we do that? Okay, I think there is a question on the final exam about what's the scoop number for a certain size. So remember that's, if you're looking for the scoop number, you're going to multiply the denominator by 4, and that's your number for your scoop. Okay? Oops, that's not what I wanted. All right. Other things we want to talk about as far as controlling our costs during the checkout and the sales portion, okay, is going to be how we track what we actually sell. Okay, how we track what we actually sell. This right here, what you see is a duplicate check system where we write on one and it creates that carbon copy on the one right behind it. Okay, so we've got the double check, so I can go through there and look. I remember when I worked at Chester's Hamburgers, okay, I would write my order out on the ticket. The cashier would get it, they'd read it out, they put the ticket in the machine, and it would print out whatever was written on the front. Or actually, it would print out whatever is brought in to, it would print out whatever was entered into the cash register. Okay. So I remember my manager at Chester's, she literally had to verify what was written on here and did it match what was printed on the back. So every single day she would just be there checking tickets. And if there was a variance, then all of a sudden that cashier would, if it was up a certain amount, then they would actually get written up. Hey,
Hi, Mr. Rubinsky.
how's it going?
This is Dave Rubinsky. Sorry, I know we're cutting in on you.
No, you're good. Let me just pause my recording real quick.
Oops, I didn't know you were recording.
I record all.
Sitting up front saying, this is what you do.
So it's important for us to keep track of our cashiers ringing up what our guests are actually ordering. Okay, and we'll talk about overcharging and undercharging guests. I believe that's in chapter 9. All right. So the last thing we want to talk about in chapter 8 is how we track the revenue, the money that's coming in, and to make sure that is accurate. Okay, so we have this concept of a bank. Okay, what does that mean, bank?
How much money on hand you have from your bank?
Okay, yeah, it's how much money you have on hand at what point of the shift, at the beginning or the end?
Beginning.
At the beginning, okay? We have to have some kind of money at the start if somebody pays with cash to be able to give them change, right? So that's our bank. And so what we do is we add up all of the currency, so that's the dollar bills, right? We add all that up, and then we add up all the coins to get what our total coins are. This $300 from the bank is part of this money here. We haven't taken it out yet, right? So we started with it. We add more money as the shift goes on, okay? All of our charge slips, so it's all of our credit card slips that we've added up, okay? Any checks. So that means that our total is $4,077.10, okay? That's all the money I have right here in front of me. That includes the credit card slips, that includes my checks, and also all my cash and coins, okay? I have to subtract that bank because that $300 that I started with is part of that cash and coins, okay? And so when I subtract that, I'm gonna get a total sales number of $3,777.10. That's what I'm going to go back to double check. Is that the money that I have right here? Okay. So let's do some examples. For my cash, I have $3,500. I believe this matches, yep, matches your notes page. So all my credit card slips, I'm going to add those up. And what do I get? 9,500. So that is all the cash I have on hand, plus all my credit card slips. I'm gonna subtract the bank. So when I go to do my deposit, I should have $9,250 to go in there, okay? Now, I go to my report. This is the POS report, okay? That is the slip that just got printed out, just like we have here. This is my report, okay? My POS report says I have $9,240 in sales. But my cash on hand is $9,250. So what does this mean? I am over by $10. That means I have $10 more in front of me than I should have. Maybe I gave somebody the wrong change. I didn't give them enough change. Okay? Maybe I'm that bartender that takes that cash and I forgot to ring in a drink. Right? Remember I told you that example where it's a cash drink, they don't ring it in, they just put the cash on the side. Okay, maybe that's what they forgot, that they forgot to ring in a drink, that they just put that cash in the cash drawer because they were in a hurry. It happens. Okay, but we're $10 over. Does the cashier get to keep that $10? No. Is it good to be $10 over? I mean, you're bringing in more money to the business. The answer is no. It is not good to be $10 over.
Not honest,
Why is it not good to be over $10?
because it's not honest.
It's not honest.
It's technically stealing.
It is stealing, right? Now, maybe it's unintentional. Maybe we're just maybe a guest in their hurry gave us a $10 bill instead of a $1 bill. Right? And they thought it was a one, they gave it to us, and we just put it all in the $1 bills, right? We just take their cash and put it out. So maybe slowing down to count the cash that's given to us or the change that we give, making it more doing a little bit more intentionally. Okay. So it is an issue if we are over, because then if the guest comes back and they're like, hey, I thought I had $50 in my wallet and I only have 10. That dinner cost me $40. That wasn't worth $40. Right? And so they don't find that value. And it could potentially impact whether or not they want to come back to our restaurant. Let's do another example. Okay, so our cash is $1,500. Our credit cards. We add the two numbers together. 9,500. Subtract my 100, 9,400. My total sales. Subtract. Now I'm short $25. And it's definitely not a good situation. In some places, depending on where you are, that can be like immediate fired. I can't remember what it was when I was at Chester's, but if the shortage was shortage was a certain amount or more, and it was an automatic, you're fired right there on the spot. Okay, so what we want to try to do is work with our cashiers. Okay, if we have a lot of people that are going into the same register, then that's hard to track who's responsible for that. But if we have someone who is only designated for that one register, think about like when you go to HEB or the grocery store and the cashier goes on break, right? They typically pull their cash drawer out because that's their cash drawer. They go lock it away while they're on their break, and the manager puts their cash drawer in, logs in, starts all those transactions. When they come back, they switch the cash drawers again. Okay, that way only one person has their hands in that cash drawer. That way it makes it a lot easier to hold people accountable. Any questions, comments, concerns about chapter 8?